Welcome to From Head to Heart and Home. We're excited to have you listen in on our conversation. We're a channel created by women for women, and we're here to help you take inspired action with your hosts, Shanda Ceretti, transformational coach, and Carla Center, relationship coach. So today, our juicy topic is loving where you're at. And we're just super excited to share with you the things that we were coming up with right before we started and just to share with you some knowledge we have. So, Shanda, why don't you take over and let them have a little deeper dive in our
Yeah,
topic is?
sure. I'd love to. And it's so funny because like every time we connect on a call, I'm like, we should just start recording from the beginning because what we share before we hit record is usually so good. And that's typically where our ideas to share with you come from. So typically when Carla and I meet, we talk about what's going on personally. We talk about some things that are coming up for clients, right? Obviously, without revealing intimate details and such, but we keep things confidential, but we do share like what themes we see within our clients and within ourselves. Because I know that we both hold the belief that, we were talking about this before too, before we hit record, but that everything is like a mirror, right? So if we look at the closest people in our lives, or if you work with clients, you look at your clients and what they're bringing to you, it's like a very um, a beautiful way that the universe is communicating to you some of the things that you still have to heal and still have to work on. So the idea of loving where you're at really has to do with like, we all have ups and downs on our journeys. We all have roadblocks and hurdles and sharp turns and cliffs and edges and bridges and all these things, right? And sometimes we're in such a rush to get to the good that we actually miss all the things that happen, right? We miss all the lessons and all the opportunities because we're just so eager to get to all the good things. But it's really in appreciating your journey every step along the way and loving where you're at, no matter where that is, right? Loving yourself with grace and allowing space for whatever it is that is happening in your life. And, like we don't usually shy away from sharing intimate details about our lives and some of the things that we're going through. And recently, I've had some major challenges, right, with some illness and some other things. And navigating those from a place of love is much different than navigating them from a place of trying to push through and trying to force things, or even trying to remain the same, like resisting the change that's right there in front of you and wanting to unfold. And when we resist or when we try to force, it's really painful. And I think I've come recently to the realization that we need to embrace what is there. We can't control what is there, right? Things are brought to us, and it's our choice whether we lovingly accept them and step into them, whatever they are, and navigate our way through them, or we try to resist, we try to avoid, we try to go around and create a lot more pain and discomfort than what is actually intended for that part in our journey. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And when we come to ourselves instead of with criticism, but love and compassion and look at the things that are going on with us, like Shanda did when she was just looking at some stuff for herself. And one of the things I had was fatigue. And so I can either criticize myself for not having the energy to do things, or I can look at it and be like, what is this? Is this avoiding something? Is there something I don't want to look at? Is
Mm,
there, something new I'm doing and I'm afraid? Um, or is it just the fact I'm pushing myself to do things I don't want to do? And my body's like, hello, you're not listening to me. So I'm going to take you down a notch to
mm,
remind you that you're not. And the thing is when we just look at stuff with love and compassion instead of judge ourselves for like, I'm here, but I want to be here. And
mm,
maybe I'm just not pushing hard enough. And we're not talking about the when you're not stepping through fear. If you notice, the first thing I said is, am I asking myself? Am I avoiding?
mhm,
So, really asking yourself, what's going on with me right now? I'm going to appreciate the fact that I'm here for a reason. there's a reason that my body, my mind, my spirit has me here. And I appreciate that it loves me enough. But what is it that's really going on with me? And not to judge myself, not to criticize myself, but to find out, okay, there's a reason I'm here. Why is it? And what can support me in moving forward because I really want to move forward? Is it that maybe I'm pushing myself because I believe that's what other people want me to do, and so my whole life is going, no, no, no. It's there's flashing lights, red flags, and we're like, I don't know what that's for. It's because really deep down, that's not right for you.
Mm.
And instead of going like, there's something wrong with me, I can't do it, just like we criticize ourselves. And then that's part of where, when we're trying to learn to go forward, we haven't loved ourselves through this path and this journey. Life is beautiful. It
Mm.
really, but sometimes there's the moments when you're in those times when you're like, I have no idea why I'm here. And I don't want to love where I'm at. But when you stop and look at it and see that there is a reason for it, it may not be what you expect. Like if you disconnect and just spend time and just look at life and we're like, why am I doing the things I'm doing? Where is it that I'm like feeling resistance?
Yeah.
And then you can dig deeper as to why this spot is even there. I get to love it because it got me here to where I'm at.
Mm.
Maybe it's stopping me because there's something more I need to look at.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that you're bringing up the disconnect because that was kind of my experience was I felt very removed and disconnected. And I didn't listen the first time that this happened, right? Like I said, this has been a bit of a process and I wasn't listening. And so it came swinging back around, but the second time around I heard it loud and clear, right? I ended up sick in bed for a week and loving myself through that process was key. Having grace and allowing space for my healing without making it wrong, without making it bad, without making myself feel guilty on the ways that I was letting, my friends down, my family down, my clients down, like letting go of all of those thoughts because none of those thoughts came from love. They all came from safety. What will people think? Right? How might I be judged? How might I be doing this all wrong? Right? Like they came from such a place of self criticism and self judgment that it took a little bit of time for me to realize, hang on a second, like this isn't helping the healing process. What's going to help that is to let all of that go and to let my body run its course, to give it what it needs, which was rest and love and tenderness, right? And really be able to listen to that. And it's so funny how this all worked out too, because I actually had booked a solo retreat in silence for myself like a month to 6 weeks ago for this past weekend, which I got to go because luckily I was feeling well enough to be able to go and just spend 4 days in a cabin by myself. And like, what a beautiful ending to that whole experience. Literally disconnecting from everyone, everything, from technology, from conversation, from literally everything, expectations, schedules, time. Like, I just let it all go. And I just was one with what my body wanted. If my body wanted to rest, I gave it rest. If it wanted to eat, I gave it nourishment. If it wanted to explore, I explored. If it wanted to lay in the sun or read a book, I just kept giving it everything that it asked for 4 days. And I came back feeling so much more connected again. And it's still a process that's unfolding, which I'm working on something really exciting for all of you, all of my listeners, um, to be able to share with you. It's not quite there yet, but I have something really exciting to share with you very soon where you're going to get to kind of have your own breakthroughs and your own ahas so that you can have the same experiences in working through whatever it is that you're working through. So just learning to love your process, not comparing my process with Carla's process or your process with your friend's process or whatever,
Right.
because we're all so unique and our journeys are just the same. Every single step of the way is like a puzzle piece. And we might not even all have the same pieces that create the same puzzle. So, how can we compare one's journey to another's when they're so different? And when we do compare, we literally start to cut ourselves off from our own growth and our own expansion. And again, that comes back to being that's a painful experience, right? Is when we're not allowing what naturally wants to unfold through us to happen. It's painful. It's where disease lives and illness is born and discomfort, festers. So my advice would be listen to your body before your body has no other choice but to become so loud that you can't ignore it anymore.
Right. And trusting that you can find a way. So I did something similar to Shanda. I didn't go away for 4 days. That would be fabulous. Um, but I did go to my office where it's so quiet and there's nobody there but me. And as long as I don't turn on any of my electronics, I can just sit and I can think, I can meditate. So some of the things I did when I'm having this exhaustion and I'm like, is this really me being ill? Or is this some avoidance? Was I would go at times, I'm like, I'm tired, I'm going to go meditate. And the reason for that is to allow myself to open up to what is coming to me that I am not letting myself see,
Mm,
hear, feel. And we do that often. We get so caught up in who we're supposed to be, what we believe we are responsible for, and what we think that the world expects of us, that we don't allow ourselves to really connect to ourselves. And that's what Shanda did in that beautiful weekend, is she connected with herself, and she didn't have to worry about somebody else feeling neglected while she
mm,
connected with herself because she was there. And
yeah,
that's one of the reasons we give ourselves for not doing it, is like, well, I need to make sure that my family feels seen, heard, and we don't necessarily make ours being seen and heard as a priority. We
right.
want them to see
Mm,
and hear us, but we don't allow ourselves to be seen and heard by ourselves.
yeah,
Uh, and that's the beauty in this kind of stuff coming up. They're reminders. We're at where we're at for a reason. And if we love where we are, we will be open to what's next.
yeah.
But if we're resisting it,
Mm.
you're just spinning your wheels. It's a hamster wheel.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what's so important, I mean, and this isn't the first time that I've had to learn this either, and I know it won't be the last, but sometimes, especially in the type of work that I do, same with you, Carla, is that it becomes really easy to be outwardly focused, right? Constantly being in service and pouring into others, which is such a gift and such a blessing to be able to do. But we can also get lost in that as well. And this was really an invitation to press pause and go inward once again for my own evolution and growth and expansion. And you were saying something earlier about avoidance. And
Mhm.
so what I got to learn, again, this isn't the first time, but whenever I go to this particular place, it's a place of silence. So there's no talking with people, there's no interacting with people. You're just in the woods, in a cabin by yourself. And it's just so special. But what I'm getting at here is that when we allow ourselves to be in silence, so I'm not saying you need to go away for like I did for 4 days in the middle of the woods to find silence, but even in your own home, can you create an area or a moment in time of silence where literally you can experience boredom? Okay, you can experience nothingness. I made myself a promise when I arrived to the cabin. I said, I am here to come face to face with boredom. That is what I'm here for. And it was amazing because I was anything but bored, right? And in that silence and in the boredom and in the nothingness, in the doing nothing, there was so much insight and so much truth there that was just like revealed one at a time, just being in nature and being open to being in that state actually is what brought me so much healing was being open to the discomfort of being bored. Like, okay, that might happen, and that's going to be okay if it does, right? I didn't take all these gadgets to try and distract me. I took a book. I took a notebook so I could write notes. And let me tell you, I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote as well. But I also spent a ton of time just sitting in nature and watching and listening, right? And then these insights would come, or a phrase would come, or a word, or maybe a picture, right? It was just incredible. So I want to encourage everybody to take that time to spend in silence with yourself, with your own thoughts, because oftentimes, especially when we're in the avoidance, we will distract ourselves so that we don't hear what's actually running in the background, right? And it's so important to catch the things that are running in the background, because that's where that autopilot and those negative thoughts and those negative beliefs live. And they just keep festering and they keep growing and they keep feeding all of that negativity that's happening in your life. But you can simply become aware of that, create the space to listen to it, right? So that you can actually appreciate wherever you are in that journey, right? And it's not always that we're, up on cloud nine having a great time. Yes, that is also an experience that you will have as well. But sometimes when we're in those valleys, right, when we're in the depth of a valley, it's even more important to listen to what's happening within ourselves so that we can learn and so that we can heal those parts of us that want our attention. We can't hear them if we're not listening, right? And like I said before, for example, if you don't listen to your body's going to get your attention one way or another. So
Yep.
you have two choices: either listen to what your body needs as it needs it, or ignore it until it becomes so loud that you end up sick in bed, right?
Right. Right. And just know that when you're in those spots, the valleys are what get us to the cloud nine, right?
Mm.
Like you don't jump from cloud nine to cloud nine because first off, the boredom that we're avoiding will happen if we're in that same cloud nine all the time. Right?
Mhm.
We're looking for the next new thing. We're looking for growth because that's who we are. We want to grow. And so those moments that we allow our mind to just hear the things that are going on that are keeping us from the next space, it's beautiful, right? It really is. We're like, we were taught to not be bored. Like that's part of our culture is just busy, 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 busy. But
Yep.
when we stop, we can find what is really going on. What is the thing that I need to, the next challenge to get me to where I want to be. And that's the beauty of what Shanda is talking about is like, we really have it in us and we're looking for like ways to instantly make it happen when it's inside of us the whole time. That's why we named our channel what we did, because as long as we are out of this and the analyzing and looking outward and we're down here in our heart, we're going to hear it. We're going to feel it. We're going to be like, oh, those are the thoughts that have been going through my head. No wonder I'm here. No wonder I'm here. And I get to be happy that I'm here so that I stopped and I listened and I'm working with this to move forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
journaling helps that, meditation,
Yep.
quiet.
Yeah. Any form of introspection, right?
Yeah.
Which I just love doing it. It's not always fun work, but I love
Right.
doing it and I love encouraging others to do it too. And I think the question that I want to offer everybody who's listening is a simple question, just one question, simple in the sentence, but a lot more complex in the actual listening. But
Mhm.
if I were open to hearing, what is it that I'm actually needing most right now? Answering that question for yourself. If I were open to hearing, what is it that I am needing most right now? And answering that for yourself every day, right? Do it for like 7 days and see what comes up for you. And, don't be afraid to go deep with that, right? Like stay with it for a few minutes or a few pages and just write whatever's there. And if you stay with it long enough, you'll start to unravel the ball, right? And you'll
Mhm.
begin to gain access to those parts of you and those pieces of you that want specific things. And from that place, it's beautiful because that's where the healing really takes place because you can actually offer those
Right.
things to yourself. And likely it's the areas where you look outside of yourself, where you seek outside of yourself. Those are kind of like your red flags of like what you need most, but it's the things that you're not willing to give to yourself. Right.
Right.
So if I were open to hearing, what is it that I need most right now? And just answering that for yourself time and time again. That question could never get old, as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's beautiful. And so much can come out of it, guys. And I highly encourage you to do it because you'll look at it later. And as long as you look at it with love and compassion, like
Mm.
what we continuously say, don't judge it, look at it and be like, give yourself a chance to have those aha moments from just asking yourself that question and just be like, wow, this is a gift. Like we said, love where you're at. There's a gift in
Yeah.
introspection.
Right. Yeah. And it's like you were saying, Carly, you've said it multiple times, but loving yourself through the process versus pushing and beating yourself up about it. Right.
Right.
I've said this time and time again since I started coaching, and because it came from my own journey. I realized one day that I was trying to hate myself better. I was trying to hate
Mhm.
myself through a process to become more whole or feel more
Right.
whole. Like that doesn't even make sense, right? We can't hate ourselves to anything. We can't push ourselves there. We need to love and coax and compel ourselves through that situation, hold our own hand, have our own back, and just be there for ourselves and letting whatever mess is there be okay and having your back through it, even though.
Right, right, and just know where you're at. Um, any of the things that you've done to get there, they were all learning,
Mm,
and you get to love those pieces of you, like we say over and over again. If you learn to love those pieces of you, you won't be trying to fill a hole
yeah.
because that hole is because you are so hard on yourself. You're looking for, you consider yourself not whole, not
Yeah.
worthy, because but you are the whole time. And so the more you love yourself, the more you'll realize I am. Are there things that I want to grow past? There are, but that's like I just said, that's all part of who we are. Growth is just who we are. That's as humans. I mean, if we had everything as a baby, there would be, imagine how boring that would be. Like already we know everything, we feel everything, it's the beauty is in the growth in the journey.
Definitely. And I love what you were saying about the wholeness, right? So to me, not being whole or not feeling whole is as simple as not accepting ourselves as our whole self, right? So
Right.
there are aspects and parts of ourselves that we are not accepting and loving, and we're disconnected. We're trying to push away and sever, right? So when we
Mhm.
feel like we're broken or we're not whole, it's because we aren't accepting all of the things that make us who we actually are. So where are you not accepting yourself? And lean into that. Listen to that. There's lots of value in that. Yeah.
I love that. Is there anything else that you want to share
No, I feel like
today?
I feel like that was a good one for me to end on.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I'm like, I think that's the perfect ending. And guys, if there are people that you know that would benefit from our conversations, please share. And if you're not yet subscribed, push that subscribe button because there are great things that come from our discussions every week. And we share our whole hearts.
Mm.
And we just can't wait to share with you things that will make a difference in your lives. So just remember, subscribe, keep an eye out for the newest episode. We do one every week. And we are excited to share something new next week, too. So, bye bye for now.